This is PNRShow Season 1, Episode 29 for October 2nd, 2014.
I'd rather have lager than lie. I'll take a strong stout over stride. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale and live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail, so bring me lager for life. I'd rather have lager than lie.
Welcome to the Pint of No Return Show. This is our weekly podcast for drinking beer and chatting about strap-ons.
Oh, good Lord.
It says right there in the show notes. Keith, that's what he wants to talk about tonight. Hi, I'm Rob from Texas. We got Jeremy and Gary from the desert of California, and Keith from New York. And what we do here on the Pint of No Return Show, if you've never seen it, we have the same beer in our cozy little possessions. Each and every week we pop open that beer, or in this case of tonight's show, two, and drink them at the same time, talk about them a little bit, give them a little bit of a rating, and then we'll move on to other topics. And Keith's got some very adult things he wants to discuss tonight, but the rest of us have some topics we would like to share with you. It's all in good fun. It's all about beer, and it's all about making as long a show as possible. Good night. Hi, guys. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Yeah.
Does the music just let you know?
Yeah. By the way, we also have strangely placed bumper music that will just pop up at any time with no rhyme or reason. Yeah.
It's a feature.
So just be ready. We want to thank, first off, the Poxy Boggards and Stu Venable from said band for the use of his music, The Lager Than Life, which is like our theme song here. You can find their stuff at poxyboggards.com, POXYBOGGARDS.com, or on iTunes. And you can find us at PNRShow.com. We're also on Facebook. We're on the Twitters, PNR Show. And Jeremy, Gary, and Keith and I also have the Twitters. Keith is at Wolfman K. Jeremy is at Jeremy Brooks. Gary at Always Breaking. And I am at RebRob, REBROB. We would love to hear from you. Tonight, we continue our New York beer series. We've got a beer from the Saranac folks and one from Ithaca. We're going to kind of change up the show a little bit tonight and throw some topics in between each of the beers. And Keith, we're going to start with Saranac, I believe.
Yeah,
Let's get that one out of the way.
So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We're going to start with Saranac Juggler.
We've had mixed results with the Saranac, and mostly
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
on the poor side. With the summer pack, now Saranac, I have to say, does make some good beers. I will have to try some.
Yeah, when those show
because
up.
the summer pack is not it. But yeah, we're having Juggler Knot tonight, which is a wheat beer fermented with pomegranate juice.
I like pomegranate.
I like pomegranate too.
I'm not so sure how it interacts with beer.
Yeah,
There's only one way to find out.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
It smells good.
So you got, and the label's very lovely too. It's a bear juggling pomegranates.
It looks like a wee beer.
It's the you can smell the juggler.
Mm.
No, I think you can smell the.
I'm getting more of a mime.
Mine tastes like a fire eater.
You can smell the pomegranate, but it doesn't overpower the nose, so that's
a little
good
bit
sign.
of fruity aroma, and you can definitely get that wheat aroma coming off of it.
Yeah.
As you saw Gary's glass put up a second ago, a little cloudy.
Yeah, a little cloudy.
And kind of that nice half-inch to three-quarter-inch head that you get with a wheat beer.
It had a nice one, and then it kind of went away. Starting to go fast.
Yeah, mine disappeared pretty quick.
And we are looking at 4.8% alcohol by volume. Now, this is
up
our
there.
last Saranac beer, is it not?
It is.
It is.
So this is our last shot. This is our
This
last
series.
shot at redemption.
Yeah, they've kind of let us down.
They have. this summer, some of their standard brews are really good. This summer series, which was apparently a bunch of experiments for them, they should have left them in the lab.
Yeah.
Out of the Saranac ones, the highest rated beer we had was their Cloud Splitter.
Yeah.
So that was what we thought was the best.
That was pretty
We'll
good.
see how this one does.
Yeah. Ready?
Yep.
That's it.
Let's do it.
Gary's ready for beer. Prost.
Hey, it's not terrible.
You know, I was just thinking the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
not.
I'm gonna have to go for another poll,
It's
but it's not terrible.
terrible.
It wisely they backed off on the pomegranate
Mm-hmm.
and let more of the wheat beer come through.
Pomegranate is a
there's-
strong flavor too, so
Yeah.
It
definitely-
is.
So
The balance needs to be there.
yeah,
Anybody getting like a little bit of honey?
Definitely some sweetness.
Yeah.
yeah, I got some sweetness too.
And folks, if you follow bitterness in beer at all, this is 18 on the IBU scale, which is very, very low.
Pretty low.
Does it? I didn't know the scale went that low.
Water's about 15.
It has
so
That's a broken
it has
IPA right
a hop in it. Just one.
All right. Well, I'll go first since someone else wants to talk. Yeah, this is actually. I'm really glad they backed off the pomegranate. I had a beer last night that had some fruits added to it. It was a porter that had fruits added to it, and I was extremely disappointed. It was just way too fruity and sweet for a porter. I think wheat beers are a beer that can have fruit added to them to do well. I'm not a huge fruit beer fan, but the ones that are that I've liked have been wheat beers. So I think that Saranac has redeemed themselves in their summer beer pack that we got, and this is actually pretty good. And doesn't taste fruity. It tastes like a wheat beer. I mean, I'm even getting the hints of lemon and things like that you would normally expect in a wheat beer. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a 7.
So I'll go. It's not terrible. It's got a pretty clean flavor, not too much fruit flavor, although the fruit tastes less like pomegranate to me and more like just kind of a generic sweet fruitiness. Pomegranate has a really distinct bitter sour flavor, the fresh pomegranate, and I'm not getting that at all. I'm just getting some sweetness out of it.
I'm catching a little sour.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm just
It's a little bit though. It's not enough. It should
maybe
be
the
there.
sweetness
Well,
just
would be
overwhelms
interesting.
it to me.
It would
should
be interesting to pair this with the Berliner Weiss, the Ithaca.
It should be noted that this beer is fermented with pomegranate juice, and there is a difference when you ferment a beer with juice as opposed to the fruit.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
Very good point. Wow. The bottle says it has a slightly tart finish that I don't get at all.
No,
No, not getting the
I am
tartness.
getting
maybe
slightly
slightly
I
tart.
really
I
am.
guess so. Maybe slight tart. Yeah.
It is slightly tart because the finish I actually like a lot because it just disappears when it's done.
Yeah, it's
After that
very,
last
very,
swallow,
very
there's like a
clean
little-
finish.
There's a hop of tartness that just makes you forget what you were drinking.
A Pop Tart?
Or Pop Tart, exactly.
Jeremy, I might
It's a
have missed it.
pomegranate
What did you
Pop-Tart.
give this one?
I'm gonna give it I wish it was a little less sweet, but not bad at all. And I would prefer more of a German style yeast in it because I just like that with wheat beers. But this is pretty good.
You cut out right when you gave the number. What was it?
Oh, I'm sorry, a 6.
6. I'm going to echo the 6. It's okay. I would like a little more, maybe actually a little more bite to it. The
I
end
would
of
like
it,
a second hop.
yeah. Well, I don't know. Just a little more bite to it. It just kind of lays there a little bit, and I actually agree with the stuff that they say in the bottle that it's as an unfiltered ale that tastefully juggles wheat and sweet with a slightly tart finish. And I agree with what they're saying. I would just prefer a little bit more on the tart side, but it's not bad. So I will also go with a 6.
Well, I was originally bunch didn't suck that I really wanted to. But since then, since I've been having it more and more and kind of judging it on its own, once I got past the fact that it was one of the beers that didn't suck out of the box, I'm kind of hesitant to give it the 7, just because it's still good. It's just not. It just doesn't really get beyond the. Yeah, I agree with the boys. Just a little more tartness would be good. Although I do get it there a little bit. So I think the bottle description is actually pretty good for what they're doing. So I would give it a 6 compared to other beers. It's a 7 when compared to the rest of the summer pick box, but it's a 6 when compared to the outside
actually
world.
a 10 compared to the other Saranaks.
Funny you should say that, because that's still not our highest rated Saranac out of that summer pack.
The Cloud
Yeah, that's what it was higher. So this is 6 1/4. So I think Untapped said it was like a 3.3, so that's right in line with what we're giving it. And Beer Advocate's a 79, which that's a little high.
So what do we end up at?
6.25.
It's not terrible.
No, that's I mean, especially.
Yeah, Beer Advocate's 79. That's really.
I think
high.
what we've been saying as we've gone through the Saranac pack is that Saranac actually has a pretty good reputation as a beer company, and that their regular stuff is quite good. So that is definitely worth a try. I've had Saranac beers before, and they're quite good. They are definitely worth a try. This one just kind of falls flat, but this pack, I'm saying, kind of falls flat.
Yeah, this summer pack was obviously an experiment pack. It's not stuff I've ever seen. They didn't throw a single pale ale in the bunch or anything like that. So it was good to try. It was a good experiment, but definitely don't like it compared to their normal fare.
Yeah. So normally in the show, when after our beers, we'll go into our topics for the week. But instead, on tonight's show, we thought we would take our quick pick segments and move that to run for the entire show, and just have the guys come up with like 3 or 4 quick picks that we have, stuff that we think you should check out, whether they be TV shows, movies, apps, games, anything that's kind of catching our fancy these days. So I'm going to start, even though I'm first on the list, I'm going to start with Jeremy, because I'm a gentleman. And Jeremy's first pick no, I'm just being a gentleman. Jeremy's first pick is an app called 1Password. He has mentioned it on the show before, but they have done some new stuff with it. Jeremy, what do you got with 1Password?
So I'm picking this again because they added a really great feature for the iOS 8 update. If you're not familiar with it, 1Password is password safe. It lets you keep all of your passwords in one place. It will generate super long, complex passwords and remember them for you. And on a laptop or a regular computer, Windows, Mac, whatever, it will automatically fill in the forms on the website with the click of a button. So you don't have to type it. You just click, 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 and you're done. You couldn't do that on iOS 8 or iOS 7, but with iOS 8, they've introduced a feature where it will autofill inside of Safari for you, and that's really a nice shortcut. It makes the program much more usable, and the easier it is to use, the more likely you will be to use it and not reuse the same 8-character password with an O instead of or 0 instead of an O for every website.
Hey, stop talking about.
Oh, I guessed your password.
Oh, Jesus.
So check it out. It is not a free app. You pay for it, but you definitely get what you pay for, and you can use it on your mobile devices and your regular computers, and it is awesome. Highly recommend it.
The password manager is free. The
That's
app
true.
is free.
There are some other ones, right? Or
Well, the
or is
1Password that
the app
you're
free?
mentioning from AgileBits is free.
Is it free right now?
It is.
Well, that's
It
even
has.
better.
It has. However, you got to look at the small print. It has in-app purchases, but the app itself is free.
So you can get most of the value from it. on your mobile device. So I would definitely check it out. I've been using it for a while, and it really is a great program.
Okay. Gary's first pick, getting back to the idea of beers, he's found a set of classic beer glasses. Now, we're going to be doing some topics in the near future, Beer 101 stuff, and one of my topics actually was the appropriate glasses for beer. Gary, you've cut me off at the pass with the Spiegelau tasting kit. And you're muted. You're muted, Gary. There you go.
I don't know that. Anyway, I didn't know how to pronounce that, so thanks for that. So I picked this up a few weeks ago. Somebody had posted a link to this set with a deal for like $15 and free shipping. So there's 4 glasses, and I actually, I think the last show I used the IPA glass, and they come with these little inserts that tell you what glass or what beers to drink with it. So this is the IPA glass, and so IPA glass, a lager glass, a wheat beer glass, which I used tonight, and like a stout glass, which I have here. And it was pretty good. So it was a $15 deal. I don't know what the normal price on it is, but I figured for $15 for free shipping, I got 4 glasses. It's a pretty good price. And these are quality. They are not like.
I think I'm 2.
They're not like bar glasses that are those thick, heavy glasses that you usually get, like the traditional pint glass. These are going nowhere near my children. I keep them in the podcasting cave, so the kids don't ever use them or ever even have a chance to break them.
Let me just say, Gary, you got a deal on those because as you were talking, I'm like, that's really cool. I need to order that. I went quickly on Amazon while you were talking. They're $40 right now.
That kit, yeah, it was like $15. It was I couldn't believe it. So as soon as I saw it, I ordered one, and I felt like I should have ordered 4, but and I probably should have. The reason the reason I got it was really because of the IPA glass, because I've been wanting the IPA glass, which is something that Sierra Nevada, Dogfish Head, and Spleeglow, whatever, developed together, and it. Actually, I do believe makes a difference. I had a 6-pack of IPAs. I had some in regular glasses. I got this. I had a couple out of this one, and then I had one on a regular glass. And it did. I believe there was a noticeable difference in improved flavor in the IPA.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy it at $40, but I just did add it to my wish list. So if the price goes down, they will let me know.
It wasn't on Amazon. It was on another site. I'll have to find the.
Yeah, please do.
I'll give you the link, and it'll be in the show notes. But it's probably still more than what I paid for it. So.
I can remember when I first started learning about wines and the proper wine glasses that made a difference, and I actually had it set out in front of me, and then it was almost the same feeling again when I got into craft beer and I started realizing that the glass type makes a big difference.
It does.
So.
I used the stout glass last night for that porter I had, and it didn't help.
All right.
Yeah.
What did they give you for stout glass? Was it just a standard tulip?
Yeah, it's like a standard tulip. I don't know. I left the little inserts in there so you can kind of see the shape over the internet. So yeah, it's like a basic tulip glass.
I did just find a set by the Libby Craft folks, 6 glasses for $20.
The special IPA glass is really nice. It leaves a lot of room for the head, which I don't know if you can see the insert. It looks like it's got a couple inches of head up there, which is very beneficial. I thought the glass would be too big, but it's actually the perfect size for like a 12-ounce bottle of IPA.
You know what, Rob? I think that's what you're missing in your IPA appreciation. You just need the right glass.
You need the right glass.
Oh.
All right.
Listen,
done.
Okay, so I am gonna get these glasses at some point. I may ask someone for Christmas to get this for me, and I will try an IPA in one of these glasses, and this is the IPA's last chance.
That's probably why I rated the Saranac higher than you guys, because I actually use the designated wheat beer glass.
Okay.
That could be it. That could be the.
That
All
could be
right.
that.
Listen.
Well, all right. Well, we'll give it a try. All right. So Keith's first pick tonight is an internet strap. No, that can't be right.
No,
An internet
no,
strap-on?
no.
What?
The boys are picking on me because, of course, I didn't update the doc, so they don't know what I'm picking. I have mystery picks
Your
tonight,
nose.
which annoys
Tonight,
them all.
every night.
So they don't know what I'm doing, and I'm really going to surprise them now because I'm going to pick
Randomly.
a cracker. I'm picking a cracker. We've been going through a little experiment in the Seifert household. It seems our youngest, 2-year-old, almost 3, is either picked up a gluten sensitivity, or either that, or actually has full-blown celiac. We haven't tested her yet, but she was getting into a situation where she was having stomach aches after every meal. We couldn't figure it out, so we kind of on a whim started just putting her on a gluten-free diet, and so we've all kind of gone on a gluten-free diet in the house because that's just easier. At least for dinner, because I have breakfast and lunch outside the house most days. But so for dinner, we're all gluten-free, and some of the stuff out there for gluten-free really blows. But some of the stuff out there for gluten-free is really good and worth mentioning just because it's really good. In fact, it's better than regular stuff. And one of the things is this series of crackers by Blue Diamond, the nut people, called Thins, which are made with all different crushed
Yum.
nuts and use. And these are a fantastic set
Can't
of
go wrong
crackers.
with nuts.
We've been slowly working our way through the whole series of them, and they have 6 out there. They're really good. The plain one that you probably would start with first is actually, I think, the worst. But that being said, it's still good. It's just a butter flavor cracker, which is, it's okay. But they have a smokehouse almond that is like my favorite. This box is the pecan ones, which taste almost like a little rye cracker. They are very good. The ranch ones are amazing. They have I know I love cheese, and I haven't tried the cheese ones yet. I don't know what's wrong with my household, but they won't buy them for me yet. And they're just fantastic. They're box for about the same price as a regular cracker box. It's not huge. You only get 4.25 ounces, but they are so worth it. They taste so good, and they're a lot better for
Do
you.
me a favor,
So-
since I'm on a low carb, actually carb-free diet, how many carbs do those have in them?
Carb-free diet.
Total carbs. A serving size is just 4 crackers, and they have 23 grams of carbohydrates.
Ooh, okay.
That's like a serving size for a hummingbird.
Not so good. But I'm glad it's working
No, they're
for
not.
you.
They're gluten-free. They're gluten-free. They're not low carb,
Well, that's great. I mean,
and they're not necessarily no fat either. But there's the pecan one. And these are fantastic.
certainly sounds yummy. All right.
They're super crunchy too, all of them. Probably because they're made with nuts, but they're just super
Yeah.
crisp and crunchy. Really satisfying.
Okay, I, for my first pick of the evening, would like to recommend a TV show to all of you, and that show is Gotham. I was very, very wary about this show that debuted about 2 weeks ago. I was kind of worried it was going to be, this show is taking place kind of as Batman is in his infancy. Literally, he's a kid just after his parents are killed. You know the story. You've seen it in every movie. But what this Gotham does is it centers on Commissioner Gordon and how he starts off in the Gotham Police Department and kind of the rise of the supervillains and the mob in Gotham City. They're the focus of the show, not so much Bruce Wayne. He's on the periphery. And I was a little worried about the show. Shows on network TV don't always work very well. Batman shows in particular historically. But I will tell you that Gotham, and it's written by Bruno Heller, who wrote the great HBO series Rome. And it is a pretty good show. I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm pretty hooked. It's kind of a mix of not only like a crime procedural, but a little bit of obviously the superhero stuff is not really present. It's kind of got some mob Sopranos overtones and some overarching storylines. But it's really well done. The dialogue is great, and I really like the little touches, the little Easter eggs they throw in the Batman mythos, and it's excellent. I'm really enjoying it.
I actually watched the first episode. I haven't watched the second one yet, and I was really glad they didn't totally screw it up because they could have.
We were surprised when it didn't.
But it is good. It's almost more of a like the crime drama, mob crime drama than a superhero show. Really, I mean, because it really is about Gordon. And
there's
not
no
so much
superpowers. There's no.
No, there is. I did like how they introduced you to at least 3 of the major supervillains in the first episode. There might have been 4, but there were at least 3.
Yeah.
And
Penguin's like a low-level thug.
Yeah.
Gonna do a lot of stuff with Poison Ivy's like a little girl.
Oh, so it was 4. Yeah, it was 4.
Then there's Catwoman also, who's like a teenager, and Edward Riddler actually works for the Gotham Police Department.
Yeah, so
it's really good.
One. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. So let's see if they don't screw it up after a couple more episodes.
I've got them both taped or recorded, and haven't seen either one yet because we are so lost in the hellhole that is Blacklist.
Yeah, I've got to catch up. I'm still in the middle of season 1. So
yeah,
we're still season 1 too. We're finishing that before we start any of the fall shows now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All
this
right.
is the first show we've ever been.
So watch Gotham. Very good. All right, on to pick number 2. Jeremy has a game about spiders. Velocispider.
Velocispider is kind of an old iOS app, and I picked it because I find myself going back to it over and over and over for just a quick 8-bit fix. It's got awesome retro 8-bit graphics. You are a kind of dinosaur robot creature shooting at vaguely spidery insect space invader-y type things that are trying to steal your eggs. It is a whole lot of fun. It's great for a few minutes on a bus or on the train or in your office when you're bored, and really just...
So you play it about 6 hours?
All day, every day. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've gotten a lot of replay value out of it, and the graphics are fun, the sounds are fun. Neat little game. I think it's available for Android too.
Yeah, who cares about Android?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess all the Samsung people would, but
it looks like there's a free version and a paid version. Do you know what the difference is?
I don't. I think I bought it when it came out for 99 cents.
Yeah, 0 is the free version. I imagine there's probably ads or extra levels or something.
Yeah, maybe ads. But it's fun. Little 8-bit simple game. Works well with the just the accelerometer. You don't have to tap the screen if you don't want to.
Oh, nice. I like games like that.
Speaking of the iOS, Gary's second pick is actually iOS 8.
Yeah, and going with the theme of the show in that it doesn't suck. I mean, the move from iOS 6 to iOS 7 was a pretty big change. I mean, they changed a lot of stuff, and that scared a lot of people. And so I was hesitant to update to iOS 8, but I had an app just stop working, so I finally said, okay, fine, I'll do it. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was not that dramatic of a change, and some of the enhancements are actually pretty good. And I waited till the fiasco with iOS 2 the first time, where it or 8.0.2 where it kind of broke everyone's phone. So I just updated.
Just for clarity, that's 8.0.1 that broke everyone's phone. 2 is actually the good one.
Yeah.
2 is the fixed. Yeah, okay. So 2 is the fixed for 1. So they have a new feature called Family Sharing, which I really like. The Mail app is a better one. And my phone is not sluggish. It doesn't actually. It actually feels about the same. And I was expecting it to really, really slow down with this update, but it didn't. And I do like when you double tap the home button and you get kind of like the Finder or the view where you see all the apps that are open. You have your recent contacts show up at the top of that list. So people that you text on a regular basis or email or whatever or call show up there. So that's kind of cool. There's a couple of little bugs that I've noticed that no one else seems to have found. When I plug my headphones in, it defaults the volume to full blast. So I've had my ears bleed a couple times. Yes. The shuffle on my music seems to randomly turn off for some reason. And probably the most annoying thing to me is that Apple added a few more apps that you cannot delete off the phone. Apps that I don't use. So I have a new group of apps on my phone called Stupid iOS Apps that is on the last page of my phone.
It's Health and the Tips app and
the Tips app I actually like. That's pretty good, but
those are ones you can't delete.
Yeah. But now you can't delete the podcast app, which I think is a horrendous thing, and there are maps I never use, so I just created it.
For those, I just bury them in a folder and just don't use them.
That's exactly what I did. So iOS 8 is actually all in all running an iPhone 5, not even a 5S. It's a good update. It's a good update. Apple I think did well all in all to make sure that the older phones stayed relevant and current. So that's good.
Okay, so. If you didn't believe me last week when I said, or last show when I said it was a good update, you can believe Gary now.
You're an Apple fanboy. Come on, no one believes you when you say anything nice.
We've got to distill. We have to distill things through the lens of someone who's not just totally devoted to Apple.
Apparently, it's now good from east to west.
And speaking of distill, let's do another beer. How about that for a segue?
Beer.
We've got our second beer. We're going to take a pause in our pick segments to talk about the Ithaca Pale Ale.
Ooh.
Ithaca's Pale Ale. I mean, we had decent success with the Ithaca folks as opposed to the Saranac folks.
No, they have to. Liked it.
Sounds good.
Interestingly enough, though, the Ithaca Pale Ale I left for myself isn't the same Ithaca Pale Ale you guys have. So I'm a slightly off beer. I'm having their Green Trail Easy Drinking IPA instead of your Ithaca Pale Ale.
So the Pale Ale is discontinued to make room for that beer, Keith.
Oh, is that why?
Yes.
I didn't realize because it came in that box.
Yeah, I found on the.
You guys are drinking the discontinued version.
I was digging around on the website to find a link for the show notes, and it turns out that this has been discontinued. So we're drinking the past. It's like time travel.
Awesome.
Ooh. Well, that's box.
Did everybody else get that kind of head on their beer? Or did I just really aggressively pour it?
I only poured myself a swallow because it's a pale ale. So
it's not an India Pale Ale, Rob. It's just a pale ale.
Well, we'll see.
It smells good. I got a great aroma when I opened the bottle.
It's got that floral hops
Yeah.
smell to it.
It does smell great.
If you like that floral hop smell, Ithaca does make another one that's called Flower Power, which is hugely floral and huge.
Did we do that one on the old show?
No.
That sounds familiar.
I don't know. I keep threatening to go back through all the old shows and get a list of those beers.
They sure don't tell you a lot about the beer on the bottle, though, do they?
Don't hold your breath on that, folks.
Yeah. I break my leg or something, so that I'm just sitting for days with nothing else.
You heard it here first.
It's kind of weird that they would discontinue a pale ale. Pale ale seems like a staple of any brewery.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe it's just our West Coast influence here.
Maybe.
Because you have to have a pale ale and 3 IPAs in your program, right?
Yeah. So, All right.
Well, they've gone to
Let's get to
3
it.
IPAs or 4 IPAs and no pale ales.
All right, Gary says time to drink. Prost.
Mm. I will go first as the foil to Rob's. This is a very well executed pale ale. It has lots of hop aroma up front, a nice malty backbone, good mouth feel, a really nice finish, and the finish is bitter and flavorful, and it just lingers. This is everything a pale ale should, an American style pale ale should be. Reminiscent of Sierra Nevada's pale ale, but I think this has a little more hop flavor than
Yeah.
Sierra.
Definitely
Really
got the more
great
floral
beer.
flavor.
I'm gonna go with a 9 on this one.
Hmm.
Excellent example of the style. Mm.
Allow me to bring this down to earth. I'll go second. Sometimes I go last, Bill, but I can't let that 9 slide. Let me start by saying I don't like it. It's got that. It has that very floral, very very bitter taste that you get with a pale ale. That I really just don't like. It's personally just a personal thing. If you listen to the show at all, you know. So I don't like it. Having said that, I know what they were going for, and what they were going for succeeds. It has a nice blend of the hops. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it. And the carbonation fits well with what the beer is trying to do. So although I don't like it, and I don't recommend it if you don't like that stuff, that hoppy stuff, I'm going to give it a 6.
Wow. That's a very balanced review, Rob.
Thank you.
It's
I still have only poured myself one swallow and will only drink the one swallow.
So if you actually enjoy beer, this is a good one to have.
If you enjoy hoppy beer, yes.
No, I agree with Jeremy on a lot of this in that it's just a really good pale ale. It's a little different because it does have a lot more floral flavor, and to me, it doesn't have any of that bitterness, even the mellow bitterness you get out of something like a Sierra Nevada pale ale. That being said, it is not the best pale ale I've ever had, and I kind of I turned 21 when I was at Chico State, which is where Sierra Nevada is brewed in Chico. So, needless to say, I've had my fair share of Sierra Nevada pale ale. So, by default, I end up comparing things to that, even though I don't even intentionally do that, but it just happens. This is really good and has a lot of really nice, appealing flavors to me. So I'm going to give it an 8 because it is a damn good pale ale that, if you like beer, you should try.
Okay, Keith Furr.
Well, I'm not sure if my vote should count because I am drinking a different beer.
Oh, that's right.
But I remember of the Ithaca Pale Ale. The Green Trail is definitely its successor. In fact, it tastes very similar to what you guys on the West Coast are describing. It's hoppy. It's got a good malt middle, a little bit of floral in the nose, nice clean finish. I think the only difference is they decided to up the alcohol a little bit. They added, I think, 2 more points to it for the Green Trail, and then put the same recipe in it. So it's really quite tasty, very similar to what you guys are saying. It's just a slightly higher alcohol level, and I approve of that. So this would be, if you want to, I will say my 9 with a happy little asterisk saying that I'm okay with that because I'm drinking better beer than you guys.
All right.
So without Keith's score, it was a 7.67. with Keith's score, it's an 8, so it rounds up to an 8 anyway. So
Let's keep Keith's score since that is the successor to this beer.
yeah,
That's
that makes sense.
I think that's
a
fair.
good way to round out the New York beer unit.
Yeah, that was a good one to finish up with.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Keith, for
Keith.
sending those. It was the best of times.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
I don't know if you want to remember back to earlier in the show when I said really weirdly placed bumper music. That would be a perfect example, but that's okay. So, Keith, your second pick is a Batgirl Barbie strap-on? What?
Absolutely. No, I too have an iOS app for you guys to consider. And today, and I don't know how long hopefully you're listening to this close to posting. It is free. But it's a camera app, and it's called Lenka. It's by, I guess, some European guy named Lenka, who's apparently very good at black and white photography. And this is a black and white camera for iOS, and it just does a really, really nice job. Black and white, with the right contrast, the right images to make it look really good, like it was a really well done portrait, right in your phone. You just take it right with that app. There's no settings. There's very little. There's a little like contrast button that has 2 settings on it, like basically on and off, and that's all you get. You just kind of take it the way Lenka would take it. But man, does it take good pictures? This really does. If you want to look at like you're an artistic black and white shooter, this is the app for you. Holy cow, is it really good? Cool. And like I said, it's free. Normally, I think it's only a couple bucks. So it's probably worth it anyway. But go get it now. It's free. Why not? Try it.
So I can have artistic black and white selfies.
Yes,
and cat
absolutely.
Pictures.
And cat pictures.
Oh, I have one. I haven't done it yet, by the way.
You really don't need to if you don't.
I do.
Very cool. All right, my second pick is an old board game that has been reskinned into something new. The folks at Stronghold Games, back in an earlier show, one of my picks was another one of their games called Space Cadets Dice Duel, and they actually have put out a reskinning of the old board game Survive, Escape from Atlantis. And Survive was one of the original board games I had as a kid. And the new version just kind of soups it up. They have a 30th anniversary edition, which looks very cool. Basically, with Survive, you have an island made up of 3 different kinds of tiles: beach, jungle, and mountains. And the island is sinking. There's an underground volcano that's about to blow. And you have all of your people on different tiles of the island that you're trying to get out on boats to one of 4 surrounding islands. All the while, there are tiles that are disappearing from the island, and it's throwing your folks into the water. Well, if that wasn't bad enough, you've also got to contend with whales that can eat your boats, with sharks that can eat, and with sea monsters that can eat your boats or your swimmers. You can play with it from up to 4 people, or if you get the expansion, up to 6 people. And the great thing is, as you're moving your people to rescue them, you're also rolling for the monsters and moving them towards your opponents. So it's a lot of fun. Play it with some folks that aren't sore losers, because there definitely is the opportunity for that. But it's a real fun game to play with kids. The components are very, very well done, and it's just a fun game. Plays in about a half an hour, so it's really good for families for game nights. And we tried it out 2 weeks ago, and the kids loved it a lot. So it's Survive, Escape from Atlantis from Stronghold Games.
Cool.
And now pick number 3. Jeremy's pick number 3 is called Southern Reach, or a trilogy called Southern Reach.
Yeah, so Southern Reach is a trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer, and I'm about halfway through the second book in the trilogy, and I don't even know if I want to try to describe it. It's weird, kind of science fiction.
Forum.
I think I mentioned it. I think I mentioned it before the show. I don't think I mentioned it on the show.
Maybe that That was
But
it,
it's I think it had been released. The 3 books were released at the time, so I started reading them, and it's weird. The first book, so the premise is some weird event happened and essentially sealed off a large part of the southern coast of the United States, and there's a military base there studying it. Everything that goes in there basically disappears. The first book was told from the point of view of one of the expeditions. The second book now is from the point of view of the director of the military base trying to understand what happened on the expedition, and it's weird. Science fiction, horror, strange. It's hard to describe, but if you like the kind of weird science fiction, horror, maybe a little Cthulhu mythos going on in there, it's pretty interesting.
So something you should read right before you go to bed.
Yes, I recommend it right before you go to bed.
Cool.
That's one of my reading or listening to audiobooks is right before bed.
I'll get that for my 12-year-old.
Oh yeah, she'd appreciate that.
Good.
All right, so on to Gary's third pick. There are a lot of Apple websites out there talking about things going on in Apple, but not many with a guy that was so close to the inner workings. But Gary has found a great website called 6 Colors.
Yeah, 6 Colors is the latest project by a guy named Jason Snell, who was at Macworld magazine website for a lot of years, who I wasn't really that familiar with, and I actually just kind of got another a podcast on a recommendation from, I think, Overcast, and then kind of went to his website and found it, and it launched right after the iPhone announcement was made for the iPhone 6. And I have a Mac at work. That's my computer at work. But I am by no means an Apple fanboy, like other people on this podcast. But that is actually a really
You don't get working Mac at all anymore.
right. But 6 Colors is actually the name derives from the original Apple logo that was 6 colors. If you remember back to the early days.
The rainbow apple.
Yeah, but it's a great website. He posts articles on a regular basis. They're almost most of them are written by him. Once in a while, he has an article from like a guest contributor. But they're not exclusively Apple or iOS related. They often delve into other topics. Like he had a really good one on the problem with Netflix, and that shows just kind of disappear from Netflix once in a while. So it's a great kind of all-around tech website / blog that I've enjoyed reading and looking into, and it's just a good thing to balance out some of the other news that's out there.
I did some perusing of the website earlier today, and it's interesting when Jason talks about himself. Even though he worked for Macworld and all that kind of stuff, he makes it up front that he's going to be honest about Apple. He likes a lot of things that they do, but when they screw some stuff up, he will come out and tell them so. So
he absolutely does. Yeah.
He always has to.
Yeah. He's what I would refer to as an honest journalist who, he likes Apple, obviously, 6 Colors. He said he bleeds 6 colors. But he's not afraid to tell people the truth about things when it doesn't actually work the way you would like it to, or when things don't work and they're broken. So it's an honest take on I would say technology in general, just not Apple technology.
That's great. I mean, very few companies out there. I mean, everything's out there on the web nowadays, but very few companies are watched as closely as Apple is for every little single thing that it does. So, not everything can be a grand slam home run, but you want to know what the hits are and what the misses are. So this could be a good website to get that.
Yeah.
All right. Keith's number 3 pick. This is getting ridiculous. Napkins that double as strap-ons. That cannot be right.
Well, what we're talking about actually is adult now.
Oh my God.
Adult diapers.
Yes, that's where
he is very dark.
But no, of course not. It's not what we're talking about. And you guys, there's something wrong with all y'all. But anyway,
You're just figuring this out.
You know, for a beer show, doing picks, really, it would be nice if we had a beer to pick. So I'm doing that for my. I am going to pick 6 Point Brewing out of New York. They have a beer that's called the Crisp. And I normally go for. It's a little too close to a lager for me. And although Rob is introduced me. It's not my normal go-to beer, but 6 Point Brewing is kind of one of those beers. They seem to do things, and they're distributed up the.
Yeah.
But they do some of their beer up here, but it seems to be in such limited quantities, it's hard to put your hands on. So as soon as I see anything by 6 Point, if I haven't had it before, I grab it. Normally, it's a 4-pack of cans for about $12, so it's not a cheap beer. But this, to my surprise, was an actual 6 for about $10, and it was their Pilsner, and it is fabulous. Easily by far the best Pilsner I have ever had. I'm sorry, Czechoslovakia, but they did you in on this one. It is super, super clean and crisp, as the name would imply. Pop flavor to let you know it's there. Does not overpower, and it just and it's at the end as if it were a glass of ice water. It is the most refreshing beer I think I've ever had, and it is just fantastic. And if I can manage to scrape up enough for you guys, I will send you some.
Okay, wait.
Just
for clarification, you bought a 6-pack, right?
I did buy.
I drank 4 of us on the show.
Yeah. Well, see, the problem.
Math is hard for me, so I was just trying to.
But alcoholism is even harder for Keith.
There is a good chance that it will still be one at the store for next time. So if it is, I will grab it and I will set it aside for the next.
I actually not the summer we just had, but the one before, picked up some 6 Point stuff when I was in New York, and they brew some pretty good beers. So
yeah,
I would love to try that one.
They have done some pretty amazing things, and I love it when a brewery that is known for like really wild experiments and different things puts out what would be what would be a normal beer, you know, that very approachable by the everyman, because they do it so very well, and yet you can tell from it's it's like caviar. Thing with caviar. This metaphor died. My apologies. But anyway, it's like really good caviar as compared to just caviar. That's where I'm going.
He's way more comfortable
as compared to just fish
strap-on, so
yeah.
So that's my third pick. Is really anything you can put your hands on by 6 Point. If you ever, I don't be afraid when you see something by them that seems like beneath you as a craft beer aficionado. Oh, just a regular Pilsner. Oh no, it's worth having, definitely. So
the final pick for the night, my final pick, is also going to be a drink, although it's not a beer. My in-laws.
More of a drink.
See,
it's a nice drink. My in-laws have a cabin in North Carolina, and when we were up there last summer, we got to enjoy some North Carolina moonshine. And the folks at Midnight Moon make an apple pie moonshine. And what it is their classic, obviously distilled moonshine fermented with apple juice in much the same way that tonight's beer, Jugglernaut, was fermented with pomegranate. Fermented with some apple juice and a cinnamon stick.
Ooh.
And stick that in there and just let the magic happen. And when you get that thing to your lips, it tastes like you're drinking an apple pie, and it is delish. We brought that home last summer, and we're sitting around the table, and we killed that bottle. It comes in like a mason jar. We killed that jar in about an hour.
Okay.
And promptly went and bought.
No. Wait a second. There's a similar thing that's going. You can pick it up in the convenience stores now. That comes in a mason jar. It's labeled as some kind of moonshine, but it's actually a malt liquor. It's not a proper moonshine that would be near 90 or 100 proof.
No, this is the folks Junior's Midnight Moon, who has one of the all-time supposedly classic moonshine recipes. This comes from his distillery.
Yeah. Well, I'm more.
It is 70 proof, which is 35%. That's the apple pie.
Oh no, shit! You do have the serious stuff.
No,
then.
but they also make
all right.
They also make ones with cherry, raspberry, cranberry, blackberry, and all of those are 100 proof.
We should do a show.
These ones at the convenience stores in New York are about.
And I will tell you,
sell 100 proof liquor in a convenience
as Gary
store.
says, we should do one of those on. As Gary said, we should do one of those on the show. I will tell you that Midnight Moon is distributed nationally.
Uh-oh.
It's actually cheaper to buy down here in Texas than it is in North Carolina. Go figure. It's really, really good.
All right, I gotta look for that. That sounds worth trying.
I'm not normally a hard liquor guy, but that does sound
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not either. I'm normally like let's say an IPA guy, but once in a while a good whiskey.
Drink responsibly and with friends.
Well, you know where I like a nice hard liquor is over the winter. There's something about just sipping on a nice bourbon or something.
We are planning to go back up to North Carolina this year for Christmas, and we have already as a group decided that we first have to stop off and grab like 3 or 4 jars of this thing because we're going up for 2 weeks. So we're going to grab some of these to enjoy during the holiday season. So maybe a future show we'll give that a try and see if the boys like it. But for now, for episode 29, we've got to say goodbye. It was a great one. Gary just typed something. Gary just typed something that made me laugh.
The back channel.
Don't talk about that.
We hope you enjoyed episode 29 of the Planet No Return show. Don't forget all the many ways you can enjoy us. We're on Stitcher. We're on iTunes. We're on pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts of note because we're the best.
I'd rather
Next week, episode 30.
take a strong stout over stride. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale and live a long life till my private.
Carrie, what if your wife and daughter saw that? That's just my goodness.
I'd rather have luck than life.
Jeez. You think you know a guy.